What's up everybody, and welcome to our second JavaScript tutorial by Murex, the coder, right? So in this tutorial we're just gonna cover or run through our operators. Yeah, this might be a little bit tiring for those who've been following through my channel in terms of other languages, but I just want to make sure that I have discussed most of these, more mainly because of the syntax, right? Just make sure that the new syntax is being introduced properly. Well, I would say just go refer to my videos for Python maybe or Java, but let me just run through everything so that I make sure that everything is going accordingly and everything is added as is supposed to, right? So operators, right? So we're going to just discuss arithmetic operators, we're going to discuss comparison operators, then we're going to use the comparison operators when we deal with conditional statements, just like an if statement, right? Just like an if statement, right? Cool. So arithmetic operators, right? So basically we have a various number, quite a number of arithmetic operators because we want to perform mathematical operations, right? So we have addition, which is just addition, right? That's plus sign. You have subtraction, which is a minus sign. You have division, which is just composed of two types. We can perform either a float division, which is just dividing. So basically you get the whole division including the decimal, right? If you divide 5 by 2, you get 2.5. you have 2.5, right? And then you have integer division. If you're doing the same division but then 5 by 2, but then we're performing integer division, we're gonna get 2, right? And this is the method, or this is how you get to do the float division, right? Multiplication is just an asterisk, and then exponentiation, right? You just want to raise a number or a certain base to an exponent, right? You're going to use that function, the power function from the math class. Then you're going to have the base, and then you're going to have the exponent, right? And then we have a modular sign, which is just a percentage sign, right? So this gets the remainder after dividing. So if you divide 5 by 2, right, you have a remainder of 1, right? Because 2 only goes to 5 twice, right? Cool. And then let's talk about the assignment operator, which we have seen in the previous video. This is just assignment operator. What it does, it assigns a value to a variable, right? And that's what we've seen previously in our discussion of the introduction to JavaScript. And then in terms of the comparison operators, we have equal sign, which is just double equal signs. Not equal, this is just an exclamation mark, and the assignment operator, right? And then you have greater than sign, which is that, and then less than sign, which is just that, right? So basically this is you comparing. So basically whenever you use this comparison sign, the output, or what you get a boolean, right? Cool. And then we're going to talk about the conditional statements, right? So in terms of the conditional statements, right, so these are the statements that you have. You have an if statement, right? And then you have a condition. That condition is going to be the condition based on the comparison operator. So basically it's a result of a comparison operator. For instance, you want to compare two values, right? And then you have your statement. You can have it as it is, one statement as it is, but if you have only one condition, right, you can use if, and then instead of getting to else if, you just go to else, right, and just have your statement there. So if the condition is not correct or the condition is not meant, you have an else statement to cover for that. But then if you have more than one condition, you can have your first condition there, which is that color blue, whatever the color is, and then you have I'm sure this is yellow, right? And then you have a statement there. If not, if both of these conditions are not met, then this statement is going to be ran. And how this if statement runs is that if this condition is true, it's not going to run the last two conditions, right, or the last two, but it just runs one condition and that's it. Once the condition is met, it stops. If the condition is not met, it goes to the second condition. The condition is not met, third condition, fourth condition, until it gets to an else, right? That's how it works. And let's quickly demonstrate these properties just now. Then yeah, we conclude the video. So mkdir javascript, suppose just say operators, but yeah, we're already there. Vim java, okay, java script .js, right? Cool. So say we have two numbers, right? So I'm just going to use let, and then it's num1, and then it's 50, and then let num2, right? And then we're just going to say 100. Cool. That's what we have, right? And then we just want to print out the sum. So console.log. So if we were to do the addition, we'll say sum. Let's test this output, right? If I say num1, I'm just testing this out. I've never tried this before. Cool. Since I'm also learning this recently, but I just love sharing as well. So yeah, that's why. Then cool. Then we have this. Cool. And then we have our sum, which is just going to be composed of sum. So basically, let's just do that. And then let me just use var. Doesn't matter. And then I'm gonna have num1 plus num2. There we go. So we run that. Let's run this and see what happens. I'm just gonna continue using my Node.js, and then it's JavaScript. What am I doing? Can't be running a directory, so I'll move to that directory. And then it's Node.js, and then it's JavaScript, right? And then you have num. So we cannot do that. Or we can. I just made something. So I just have to put this, and I think that should be it. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That should work. So it definitely works. So this is, you added 50 and 100, and then you get 150. One thing that I also want to mention is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes happen, and if you get to be afraid to make mistakes, you will find yourself in a very tight spot. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are the only way to learn, and in this department, you gotta do a lot of mistakes, right? So we have addition. We're just gonna copy these. Cool. There we go. Then I paste it there. Cool. But we're not doing the sum, right? We're doing the diff. We have num2. So that's let's just subtract num2 from num1. There we go, num1, and then we have diff. There we go. Then we're just gonna have var, and then it's diff, which is just num2 minus num1, right? Cool. And then if we run this, there we go. This is 100 minus 50, which gives us 50, right? So basically, let's just also complete everything for everything, but I'm pretty much sure you guys managed to get the idea of the whole thing, right? Sum, and then we have division, right? So this is float div, right? And then we're just gonna have this sign here. So this is num2 divided by num1. Let's just keep it that way. Num2 divided by num1, but then it's 50 over 100. That might not be so ideal for us. So to make it ideal, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna say num2 equals to maybe 60. Oh no, not num2, num1 equals to maybe 60. Then that way this will be ideal for us. And we have quotient, right? Quote, let me just call it like that. And then we're gonna have quote, which is num2 divided by num1, but that variable doesn't exist, so we just have to declare it there. And that's it, and we run our program, and this is what we get. This is the float division, right? You get the decimals. So if we are to edit, move to the next line, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do floor division, floor div, and then we have num2 divided by num1, but this is a floor division, right? So same thing, divide, but it's a floor division, but normally this is the sign for floor division, but in this tutorial we don't do it like that, so just leave it like this. There's a division, right? And then we have that, and then we have quad 2, and then I'm just going to create a variable quad 2 is equal to math dot floor. Then what we have is quad. Since we already have that, we can just do that, or we can just divide inside there, but it's better to just use what we already have there and see what happens, right? Because the same thing. And then we run this, and that's what we get. So it disregards the decimal part. That's the floor division. In terms of the other operators, well, you can play around with those. I'm sure you'll be able to finish all that. But what I want to discuss now is our conditions, right? So we're going to discuss the if statements, right? So if say I have three numbers, right? I have var a, which is 100. I have var b, which is 500, and I have var c, which is 50, right? Cool. Then I have a statement if a is equals to 100, and then print a. I'm just gonna make this a simple program, but you guys can go practice everything else. So if I say console dot log, then what I have is a, and then I just have a, and then else if b is 500, then console dot log, and then what we're gonna have there is b, and then it's b, right? And then else, what else is console.log, and then it's c, and then it's gonna be c, right? And then we have that, right? Cool. So let's run this and see what happens. There we go. So it only runs once, as I mentioned, right? So probably everybody thought that it's just gonna print a, print b, print c, because all the conditions are true. That is true, but the condition that gets to be run and executed first, and it meets or it returns true, or then the condition is met, it stops running other conditions. So that's how the if statement works. Go play around with this and go get comfortable with the syntax. Normally you've seen that every time we get to do our application part, we start from scratch. So this is just so that you get comfortable with the syntax, right, of the language. Being free and being able to understand the syntax and being able to just flow with the syntax will help you, especially when it comes to applying or using JavaScript as a backend, in the backend of a website, right? Because you have to know, this is what I want to do, okay, then just do that. This is what I want to do, I just do that, right? So we get to see that, and we get to play around with this in the next tutorial. We're going to continue basically just cover small loops, for loop and all that, and see what JavaScript have. Once you've done with all that, then we're going to transition and get to the most fun part, where we actually create responsive web pages, right, with some functions. But apart from that, that's it from me, guys, and I shall see you guys next week.